Hello everyone and welcome back to Just K, where we talk about everything that is health, spiritual health right now. Thank you for joining me again. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. I love you. I appreciate you. If you're new here, consider clicking on that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can join us in all of our talks. Sit back, take a breath. Today, we're discussing death. Don't click off the channel and don't be afraid. You're going to have to contend with it one way or another at some point or another. Let's talk about it. Maybe even take some of the fear out of it. Okay? What does death have to do with Christianity? Well, Christianity at its inception, like most religions, started from dissatisfaction amongst citizens with the way a government was running. Constantine, as we discussed in our last few videos, was able to fuse these ideologies and make something that pretty successfully became the absolute power. What is the best way to obtain a power over a people? And what's the way that has been done historically? Fear of death. And that's what we're talking about today. The thing about the fear of death is the fear of death makes you act out on revenge. The fear of death makes you make a power move. The fear of death makes you not treat people right because you're just gonna die anyway, right? The fear of death makes you value your life but takes away value in another person's life. And that's why we want to allay the fear. My issue in Christianity is that you're taught that you suffer here in this lifetime, you stay humble, you toe the line, and then someone's going to come and save you and make your afterlife this beautiful place filled with gold streets and gems everywhere, where you sit at a table and you're actually talking to the Creator. It's the concept of accept your suffering now and get saved later that kind of bothered me a little bit. Suffer now to have everlasting life later. Okay. I should let you know that the word religion comes from the Latin word legere. Legere means to bind, to link, to join. The importance of Christianity and death, it's twofold, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. There was a psychology study that found that, at least here in the West, amongst Westerners, those people who are strongly religious tend to fear more death than those non-believers. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense when you look at the doctrine of Christianity. What are the things that make people afraid of death, right? So I had to look at this within myself too. What makes people fear of death? The process of dying. What does it feel like? Does it hurt? How does it go? The fear of the unknown. Nobody can tell you what happens to you after death, right? Living in an environment where you experience danger or see death. A scary neighborhood. A red-lined neighborhood, I should say, can do that to you. Poor physical health. The average person who might fear death in their subconscious, that comes to play, I tell you from experience, when you have to deal with a health issue that makes you see your mortality. Not having a secure physical attachment, especially in childhood. So the way I can explain that is, my mother separated her children, not all even together. She sent my younger sister and I to our father's family, and that separation gave me an anxiety of being separated even from my father. So when my father has been sick, out of town, away from me, where I can't see him, talk to him, know he's okay, that brought on the fear of him not coming back. And then when you have to go to a funeral of someone passing, even when my father was still young and healthy. It's all heightened, and it all just weighs down on you until the thing you fear the most, more than anything, is dying. Right? Christianity takes that fear and it heightens it. Now, in all of the things I've learned over the years, especially these last couple of years when I've been on this journey to uplift and empower myself, the most freeing thing for me has actually been really recently when I decided to give up the fear of figuring this Christianity thing out and actually kind of dig into it. It was freeing because it always felt awkward to me, that there had to be a middle person between my Savior and myself, or B, who does Jesus answer, to be honest with you? Because, shoot, I've been on scene for 50-something years, for real. It was also interesting when I studied the spirituality or the culture of my ancestors. The thought process was almost that you're dead now and then you come to life later. There was no, if you look at the laws of Ma'at, there's nothing in those laws that says you have to follow them. But whether you do or don't, you still go to the reading of the souls when you die, and you still atone, right, for the things that you didn't do right. The difference is, it doesn't talk about everlasting burning in a pit of hell with bad people and bad things. It talks about going through steps to come out of what the duat or the underworld. So there's no one's going to come and save you. You're going to take these steps and you're going to save yourself. And if you don't save yourself, you're going to come back and you're going to do it again until you learn how to do these things. This is what goes on. So, am I trying to upset Christians? Not at all. Not at all. Feel free to research the incarnation of Jesus Christ, the incarnation of Christianity yourself. Consider, is it holding me back? Am I so focused on Christianity for the social aspect that I'm being held back and I'm not seeing my higher self? I'm gonna tell you something, and the older you are, the more unpopular this is going to be. But here it is. There is no one named Jesus that is going to come and save you. There's no one that's going to levitate out of the sky. There's no one that's going to appear. There's no one that's going to, if that was going to happen, it really honestly would have happened by now. How many more generations do people, especially people of color like myself, who have had generational suffering and suffering that hasn't stopped, gonna wait for a person to come and, right, to come and lift us out and save us? I don't know. It was very freeing for me. The knowledge that what I want to get out of life, I have to go for, I have to push for, it was very freeing to me. The knowledge that there's nothing in this universe that's going to keep me in a pit, a burning pit of hell for eternity, was very freeing. I guess the last thing I want to point out, when we are at that time, that place, right, whether you actually cross over to death or not, who are you thinking about? Who are you wishing you could call to and talk to? In the few experiences I've had, it has literally been ancestors. So if it's the ancestors that I call to for help in my deepest dire times of need, what would it feel like to, I could just imagine just talking to my dad, who's an ancestor now, just talking to him, and instead of referring to him as daddy, like I did when he was alive, or by his name, Oliver, I'm calling him, hey Stanley, could you help me with this, Stanley, right? Maybe if we come to the realization that we literally are our own saviors, with the help of our ancestors that came before us, the ones that did it right, and especially the ones that didn't, that could guide us now. It's a very freeing thought, and I want you to try it if you can. You don't have to give up the incarnation of man that is Jesus Christ if you don't want to. But put the focus on your ancestors, and put the focus on living ma'at. So in Christianity, there's so much time spent on making sure what happens after you die is okay. But it's done wrong. Because the biggest focus on making sure both the way you pass away and what happens after you pass away should be on how you live this life. The focus really should be on living, not what happens after you die. So that's what we're going to talk about. And you're going to stay here and you're going to join me. And you're not going to be afraid, because there's nothing to be afraid of. In our next video, we're going to look at how our ancestors dealt with death. But first, a special video next week. This is a health channel, and there's something that's really been bothering me. I'm kind of sick and tired of hearing the things people have to say, the reasons, the excuses that Black people don't want to get health care or don't trust certain things in health care. I'm even more tired of having a person of color pushed in my face to tell me why I should trust it. So we're going to talk about that first, and then we're going to get into death. Until then, I love you. I appreciate it. Remember, it just takes a second. Click on that subscribe button and the notification bell. I know you want to hear what's coming next. And I'll see you then.
Do that.